Divine greetings, entities, energies, lovelies, bodies of light, seekers, and the sojourners of truth, the 144, the chosen of the chosen few, and you and me and you, all of us that are stepping into the 5D experience, into this new age, this new stage. I greet you all in the love that lights the truth from my heart to yours. I am Akila Textry, and welcome to the divine energy essence of it all, where I'm reporting to you live from 5D. Speaking of 5D, we are at a code 5. Code 5. For those of us who know, who have been following along the series, this all started out with me just saying code 5, code 5. This is the first series that I've done. It's an impromptu series that Spirit just said keep going. About the 10 days of new beginnings plus 5. So there's the 5 again, which is the theme is the balance between the spiritual and the physical. So with that, it's a joyous occasion. We're celebrating today on the 18th. The 18th, 8 and 1 is 9, spiritual completion. On the 18th, we have a nodal shift. Been waiting for it, been talking about it. I've been talking about it, at least on my lives, maybe not here, but on my lives. Actually, I did do a video about it, the nodes, the north node and south node. So it is changing as we speak. The nodes are shifting from Taurus and Scorpio to Aries and Libra. So not only are we having a nodal shift, the lunar node shifting, but there's also the 5 degrees between Mars and Venus that is coming to an end. Because why? Mars is leaving. Mars is entering into Virgo. They've been traveling together with 5 degrees between them from June 18th to July 18th. Today, from the 18th to the 18th. And that says something in itself, which we'll get into. We're going to talk about it, right? So as I'm here to bring you this news, this galactic news that you choose to infuse, this was for my 5D people who are really actually doing the work. Those of us who are exiting the matrix, those of us who are leaving the old paradigms, who are expanding out of the 3D, the shadows of the 3D consciousness especially, but yes, expanding the 3D. Notice I said not leaving, because we're not leaving this world. We're not leaving behind 3D. There's actually an integration process that is happening, which is what all of this theme is backing up. This entire year is about synchronizing the integration with others, with ourselves first and foremost, of course, and with others. So this is all a beautiful orchestra, symphony, the great divine symphony. So especially right now, it's like beautiful. This is a beautiful melody being played right now from the last month to even these last 10 days within these new beginnings. So for those who don't know, the 10 days of new beginnings plus 5 came out of numerology that was brought to my attention by Tanya Gabrielle. You can look her up. She does a lot of numerology. That's how numbers were brought to me, because I wasn't much of a number person numerology wise, but now it's like the codes jump out everywhere to highlight to me vortex. I've been really good at finding a vortex, a portal, even ones that people aren't talking about, you know, so which is this 10 days plus 5 new beginnings of 10 days. So why it was called that was because, as she explained, in February there was a time period between the 10th and the 19th where when you followed the numerology and added up those days, it equaled the number of that day. When you add, not the days, when you added up the number in those dates, it added up to that day. So for example, on the 10th, when you added up all the numbers for February 10th, 2023, it added up to 10. And the next day, the same thing. You add up all the numbers, it added up to 11. And that happened for 10 days from the 10th through the 19th. So there was this recurring theme of 10. And so as Spirit laid it upon me, explained it, because of course, I get the explanation. It's the new beginnings, and it's a vortex. She never explained it like that, but like I said, I'm the vortex finder. So it's a vortex, a cushion vortex to help cushion us, prepare us into the new beginnings of being practical and practicing this integration, this synchronized integration that has actually been happening and going on since around December, that we've been actively working on. When I say we, I mean me and my 5D community, right? If you're interested in the 5D community, just put it in the link or the comments, not the link. I have to put things in the link, but put it in the comments and I will get back to you on that. Or if you find me on Instagram, Akila Textry on Instagram or on Facebook, and of course I'll put those links below. You can let me know and be a part of the 5D community. We've been doing this since last year. So with that said, last year after the 5D Independence Day, which actually is in February, and I have videos on that as well. So with that said, I want us to get right into what today is about, this beautiful nodal shift and everything else that's shifting. We're coming to a close. There's like a feeling of a closing out of this particular phase, because when one door closes, another one opens. When we close one phase or segment of our spiritual or soul work, it opens us up into the next level. We're constantly leveling up, which is a part of our infinite existence. So with that, a brief explanation to catch you up on where we are. So those 10 days that I explained to you, that has happened every month, not just February. Every month I found that we were, those numbers from the 10th through the 19th, it will add up to that day, plus 1 in the next month, plus 2 in the following month, plus 3, to bringing us to where we are now at plus 5. So hence new beginnings, plus 5. And there was always a theme with these numbers. The number codes, of course, speak to me. So last month's theme, which was plus 4, was about foundational balance. The theme before that was plus 3. It was about creative completion. So this is 5, and the theme is the balance between the physical and the spiritual, and it's so intricately designed to fit right where it fits. Because how is it that we're talking about the balance between the physical and the spiritual, which represents the masculine and the feminine, as well as the Mars and Venus that is traveling together with what? 5 degrees. So that even the celestials are speaking loudly to us and saying, hey, here's this balance to be had. And then it's happening from the 18th of June to the 18th of July. 18 is 8 and 1 is 9. So completion to completion. And we'll get into that. This is so profound to me and people like me, to us, right? So with that, I'm going to read to you. I'm going to share with you the download, because in this process, to be honest, I have been fasting. I have been shifted into a timeline. Like this is like daytime for me. I know you see it as night, but this right about now in my timing, it's about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon for me. So that'll be a whole nother story, but timelines are shifting. As I said, this process is taking me and my family through a complete timeline shift where we are recycling, meaning cycling back, but not really. It's moving forward, but it's giving a retrograde effect of us cycling back in time, because you know we're behind everybody else. But with that said, I've been getting so many downloads throughout these 10 days while I've been fasting, and this is a part of the creative activity that has been happening. And if you are in the flow of it, I'm pretty sure you are getting some information. If you're really in the flow of what's happening, even if you never heard of any of these days that I'm talking about or these codes, it doesn't matter. It's all about being attuned to the energies and the frequencies by what you're doing in your life, world, and affairs, in your soul work more specifically. So some of you may be feeling very creative. Some of you may be getting a lot of downloads, a lot of transmissions, even dreams that are telling you stuff. Write them down. Don't just take it lightly. Write it down. Like I have so much stuff right now, I could probably put a book together or 2 or a few. So with that said, I'm going to share with you, as I have been doing, some of the information, the download, if you will, and then we'll just kind of go through it and piece through it as we go. So ride with me, come along, ride on this fantastic voyage. Let's go. So this is all about the code 5, code 5, code 5, and this double up repeat. And this double up repeat of code 5, it signifies an equilibrium through a double expression of balance between the physical and spiritual. So it's a doubling up, as I said, because we had code 5 in the beginning of all of this, and now we're at code 5 again. So pay attention to when things repeat. This is like a double up. It's almost like a reflection, something that's being reflected of what was happening, of the expression. 5 is the pinnacle of expression, where it is in our being through our doing, that we activate the harmonized duality, which is 2, right? Let's follow me with the numbers. Activate the harmonized duality of 2, of the creation, 3, to experience time, 4, into an expression, 5. And those things that I just numbered, they are in previous videos where I broke it down some more. So the 2 is duality, the 3 is creation, and the 4 is like experience, when creation experienced time into where we are now, expression, right? So basically it's saying that this is where in our being we're now expressing, we're harmonizing what? The duality of the creation that is experiencing all of this expression of time, right? All of this expression of the infinite existence in a higher state of consciousness, through the divine realms of time, space, reality. So all of this is helping us and is activating us into our infinite existence in our time, space, reality as we experience time, right? We are being charged in the responsibility, especially us light bodies, light warriors, light workers. You are being charged with the responsibility to express the balance between the physical and spiritual with our practical application of this synchronized integration. So it's all about practicality, as I've mentioned before. How are we being practical in all of this as we are working on integration in totality, right? So as we raise our pyramid temples, remembering that we are temples, we are the actual bodies of the pyramid temples. As we raise our pyramid temples, we set the tone of the foundations in the 4 corners of the physical, which is masculine, to allow the primordial waters to flow and open portals from the spiritual, feminine, right, to ignite the fire of existence of divine self in the physical, masculine, to integrate the essence, integrating the essence of the risen light of self with the collective that is unified in the love frequency as the breath of life in the spiritual, which is again feminine. So as you can hear, I'm saying physical, spiritual, physical, spiritual. Those are the 4 corners. If you can imagine what I'm saying, what I've just said, faithfully, if you could hold what I've just said, because I know it was a lot. Sometimes these downloads, like they come, this is not even how I talk. That's how I know when it's a download. It comes in ways that it's filled with words that, you know, words get in the way sometimes. But if you notice, if you can picture a pyramid, 4 corners, and each corner you have a masculine aspect of feminine, a masculine and a feminine. And then if you notice with the pyramid, with the 4 corners, it's risen. That's why I said when it rises to the pinnacle, to the point at the top. And I didn't even get to that because I wanted to give the image of the physical and the spiritual. So it is when the foundations are set. How do we set the tone of our foundations in the corners, in all 4 corners, that are allowing the physical, which is the masculine, has to allow the feminine to flow, the waters of the feminine to flow, right? Which ignites the fire. As I'm saying this, imagine working from the root coming up is basically what that is. Starting at the root, the masculine, the earth. The waters are the feminine. That's the waters that flow, the feminine, into the fire, your solar plexus, the masculine, and up into the breath of life, the wind, the heart, that is the feminine, when really the heart is really for both, but speaking in the aspect of the wind, the energy of it all, and coming from the invisible, the spiritual, it's feminine qualities. So this is the 4, this is the double, this is the equilibrium, right? So it is when where all of this raises to connect at a point of infinite existence in expression, right? This is the 4 points of the pyramid temple body to be risen to the 5th point of expression at the top. So as I just explained to you, in this, we can see that of the 4 corners, 2 are physical, as I mentioned, and 2 are spiritual. So there is an equilibrium within the double aspects between the 2 that brings a balance of the 4 within the 2 to the point of an expression from this creative activity of infinite existence. We are the temples. We are the temples of expression, with all this being said. So all that's basically saying is that in this equilibrium, you see the double sides, you see the 2 sides, you see that there are 2 of each in the 4, and that the 4 within the 2 are the points of expression. So there's the 4, and then there's 2 within the 4. I'm pretty sure you get what I'm saying. 2 and 2 is 4, but it's basically seeing it in a way where you're seeing an opposition. You're seeing the doubles, and they're kind of like pairs, just like I explained, 2 masculine, 2 feminine. They're pairs, and they may be placed sometimes in an opposite position to contrast each other, to reflect upon each other, and then it's all risen to the top, to the pinnacle of the top. So we are the temples. We are the risen light. So when I say risen light, that's what we're talking about, right? So the confirmation, this is speaking about the code 5 now. The confirmation of this code 5 theme doubled is evident in the 5 degrees between Mars and Venus, physical and spiritual, masculine and feminine. The June 18th to from June 18th to July 18th. And as I said, the 18 reduces to 9, so it's a spiritual completion. The celestials support the opportunity of completion of this balance and integration, as the dates 18 to 18 give a complete cycle of a month to work it through, with the last 10 days of new beginnings being the final stage and a test of practice as a culmination in the experience of all of this. So basically it's just saying that the stars, as I said, they support us. They give us the oomph by having Mars and Venus where it is, and it's even highlighting to you, it's confirming to you that this is something that is a completion. This is it's in a month, so it's telling you within this cycle, within this moon cycle, within this month, there's going to be a completion, a spiritual completion from one to the other, right? From one completion to another, meaning one completed aspect representing, let's say, the masculine to the feminine. You know how people say, oh, this is my better half? It's like, no, you're one whole piece, I'm one whole piece. Mars is one whole piece, and so is Venus. And they're both moving together. The physical is one thing, the spiritual is one thing, the masculine, feminine, same thing. So it's one whole aspect to the other whole aspect, and it's bringing a equilibrium amongst them, between them both. And it is in this practice that there is a culmination happening. That's what all of this is saying to me, that there's something being culminated, like in the last 10 days of the 30 days, there's like this culmination. It's almost like final exam, like it's final exam time in the spiritual world of speaking. And that's what's bringing, you know, whatever needs to come up to light, helping us really see. And what is this final exam about? All about integration, baby. The integration process. And what better way to integrate than understanding the balance between the physical and spiritual, the main 2 dualities in this realm, right? So this is something that we are really working through at this final stage, this test. As I said, there's a closing being amplified on this day, today, the 18th, as the lunar nodes shift from the last 18 months in Taurus and Scorpio to the next 18 months in Aries and Libra. So again, 18 to 18, 9 to 9, completion to completion. So either way, we're seeing this completion in being repeated. We're seeing the repeating of the 18. This 18th day, as the spiritual completion, is amplifying the closing of the completion of the lunar nodes and the completion of the 5 degrees Mars-Venus transit, as they are shifting out of these positions that held the energy's charge of support in the balance of this entire integration. Also in conjunction with the new beginnings, the 10 days of new beginnings plus 5 theme. So all of that in conjunction is really highlighting and showing completion. So 18 is just really screaming completion right now. The masculine and feminine is being healed in the balance of the physical and spiritual. Rise, this is all a rise. I call it a rise. So being that it is a rise to the sacred union within the soul and also without. So within the soul and also our integration without, which is really between other souls when I say without. So we want to raise that sacred union within our own mind so that we can expand and share this sacred union, integrating it with others, being an example of it, right? And as we rise this sacred union, it is all done. This completion is saying, hey, it's all done. If we've done the work, especially for people like myself that are really catching it, it's like it's a ride. This whole thing is a ride. All right, so there's some other features to note that I'll share with you all real briefly. That so much was being poured, I could only say but so much. But for one thing, noticing that all of this, as I'm explaining, is explaining the third dimension to the fourth dimension to the fifth dimension. The third dimension being about creativity and creation. The third dimension is how we as creation are experiencing creation within the infinite existence. The fourth dimension is more about time. That's why you hear me talking about experiencing time. It is when creation is experiencing time. And the fifth dimension is more about the expression or what is being recorded. And when I say recorded, not like technology recorded, more like cosmically recorded. How we're always doing things, and everything that we do when we express, right? If you imagine the pyramid sending out through the top and attracting, but really, let's say sending out the light, you're expressing. And every time we express, we register and we transmit. Like, just like through technology, when you send a text or you send something, it's kind of like that. When you do something, you send a text to the universe. When you say something, when you express something, you are texting the universe. Kind of look at it like that. So that's what the 5 represents. It's the expression of so this is how you can see the expansion from 3D to 4D to 5D. You're expanding that creation because we're still creating. We're still a part of that creative activity, but we're expanding it from just not only creating, but into the divine time, experiencing time, meaning experiencing the timeless of time, the divine time, not man's time, because we're already vessels of time. But when you really expand the 3D consciousness, you step out of bounds of man time. This is the dimension that Yeshua, whom you call Jesus, this is how Yeshua functioned in the 4th dimension. This is why they saw everything as a miracle, and all he did was know the perfect outworking of the law, the principles. Right? And with that, understanding the principles, understanding the divine, when you become a part of the creative activity and you become one with it, then you stretch those bounds of time and you start to experience your 3D aspect in the expansion of time. So that's what 4D would be. And 5D would be more of, okay, now that you've done that part and you're expressing in time and expanding time, you are now in an expression of it and expressing it in a way where it's instantly being recorded or text in the ethers. So I wanted to share that light so we kind of see the 3 to the 4 to the 5. We kind of see how it leads up to the 5. And not just starting at 3. You can count from 1 on up, but I just didn't want to go that far back. We tend to understand, everybody knows about 3D and 4D and 5D, so I wanted to keep it there. Another featured, interesting feature to note is that the second half of the coded days aligned with the 7 days of manifestation from the crown going down, which we work with the new moon. Right? That's something I spoke about that in one of the previous videos. It aligns with that going down starting on Friday. So Friday, which was code 10, really known as code of day 1 of manifestations and so forth. So today is code 5, but also day 5, you know, for the 18th. And I know you may see the sun coming up, and I'm still saying today. It's really, for the rest of the world, it pushed into the 19th, but I am still on the 18th. As I said, my timeline is completely shifted. So for me it's about maybe 7 o'clock in the evening on the 18th. I'm still on the 18th. And that's one of the features. The other features is there is something to note, is that there is always a point 5 at the balanced intersection of the foundational 4. 4 elements to the 5th point is the expression of the heart. The grand cross of the cardinals, or the mutables, or the fixed signs, which we just had a grand cross with the moon. The grand cross of these signs is a 5th point harmony. There's a point in the middle. So the grand cross, of course, is like that, but right in the middle there's a 5th point at the harmony of it, right? And then there's the 4 corners, the 4 base of the pyramid. The 4 corners of the base of the pyramid are risen and meet at a 5th point at the pinnacle. And the 5th point is the pinnacle of expression after the creative activity of harmonized integration from 4 points of double opposition is a reflective duality. So as I even spoke about earlier, it's very reflective. These 4 points, 4 parts, it's like a double. It's like parallel, like how you see a parallelogram, any square is like a parallelogram. So they're apart from each other. They're reflecting each other. So you may have masculine, masculine, feminine, feminine, or even if it's at a cross, like the grand cross, you may have this being the like an axis, like it's on an axis. So you may have masculine, feminine in opposition, and on the one that's going across, masculine, feminine. So you see that they're like opposing each other, but yet they're reflecting, right? Whenever you see an opposition, it's always a reflection. That's usually how I see it. Opposition equals reflection. It's allowing you to reflect so you can see what you need to see and meet in the middle at the grand cross, right? So this was a beautiful experience, and I was just glad to be in it and share it with you all and be able to bring it to you on a consistent basis. I have one more day to go. That would be the next day, being the next code 6. That would be your today, my tomorrow, as I close out with this. So with that said, enjoy the rest of the 18th, the node shifting. I'm going to do another video on the node shifting, going into that a little bit more. And with that said, welcome to the 5D. I have faith that those of you who are traveling through are doing what you have to do. And in this integration, please be willing to have a compassion, expand your capacity of compassion and letting others be where they are as we're integrating, and you be firm in where you are. That's all. That's a part of a healthy balance in the integration. Not imposing on others and not letting others impose on you. This is the balance we want to have. Most importantly, the balance within your mind, within your soul. So as we close out from 18 to 18, the 9 to 9 completion to completion, Another 18 to look at was 18 months of Taurus and Scorpio, and we're now going into 18 months of Aries and Libra. So again, it shows a completion to a completion. We're about to step into the next zone, the next timeline. So welcome aboard. Peace, harmony, love, all of these things that are good and true and beautiful. Think on these things, be on those things, express those things, like Code 5 says, at the pinnacle of your expression. Each one, reach one, teach one. If you don't know where to start, start in your big, beautiful heart. Shine your light from the inside out and be the candle that lights the next one and the next one and the next one. Peace, love, and light.